When Murray arrived, his temperature was 29 degrees and falling. Ultimately, cardiac function ceases when body temperature is between 28 and 30 degrees.
Let's get a heating blanket as quickly as we can down here, please.
When the blood reaches a temperature below 35 degrees, it loses its clotting ability. So if one has sustained an injury that is normally survivable, it is quite likely that you will go on to bleed to death from it unless you are able to be rewarmed.
Wake up. Hey. We're not getting any response out of this guy at all. I don't see anything going on.
Because Murray was deteriorating in the emergency department, his heart was beginning to beat irregularly. There was little more to offer him. External rewarming techniques had been tried and his temperature continued to drop. So therefore, the only possible way of reversing this deteriorating situation was to try something new. What's the status? I had been working on this technique of removing the blood from an artery, running it through a warmer and back into the vein for several years, but in a laboratory setting. I had been anxious to use it for the first time on a human being. If you inserted a large intravenous catheter into a large artery and another one in a large vein and connected the two with a piece of tubing, blood would flow out of the artery through the tubing and back into the vein because the pressure in the artery is much higher.
3.4.
If you allow blood to exit the body through one of the intravenous catheters, pass it through a warmer, and then allow it to flow back into the body, one could very quickly warm all of the blood that the body contains, up to 1 degree every 10 minutes. We connected the tubing and then removed the clamp and then stood back, not knowing what was going to happen next. How's he doing?
Yeah, he's doing pretty good. His temperature is raising up around 90 now, just a little bit.
Immediately, the temperature gauge that was monitoring Murray's temperature began to rise rapidly. In fact, it duplicated what I had seen in the laboratory. It was quite a feeling of excitement. Within several minutes, Murray's heart rate, which had been very irregular, very slow, and deteriorating, began to climb. His heart began to beat much more strongly, his blood pressure increased, and it was fascinating to see this occur when our expectations were not quite so high.
Starting to move around now. 54.
Great, give him a little bit more ringers. As the warming proceeded, Murray began to show more and more signs of life. This gave me some hope that his brain was not going to be permanently damaged. However, there's a big difference between moving and reaching for things and having higher neurologic functions.
I remember awakening to the television. They left the television on for auditory stimulation for me. And I remember waking up and looking up at that television monitor and seeing my Jeep in the water, or at least would look to be my Jeep in the water. And then later on I saw what looked to be my shoes on my legs. And that was quite an eerie feeling because it hadn't been explained to me why I was laying in this bed, and yet I was seeing it happen. There again, I thought I was in a dream state, but it was definitely reality.
Hey, guy, how you doing?
How you doing, Murray?
Actually, that was our first encounter with Murray as a person. You know, he was a victim before. That's when it kind of all came together, and we realized that we had done something, somewhat of a miracle. You know, just the whole process, and then that he survived and was given a second chance, and we were all pretty proud of that. We just thought we'd stop by and check up on you.
I could not have been dead for that long, and to come back and have the thought process that I was having. It took a long time for that to sink in, and for finally to take root in my memory that, man, I was out, I was gone, I should not have come back.
Murray Brown spent the next month in hospital and made a full recovery.
I appreciate life more now than ever in life. Every breath is a gift. It's sometimes, you know, you go through life and you take these things for granted, And, you know, but I've got this video at home that, you know, anytime I start to feel down or dismal, I can just pop that in and say, hey, you know, I'm an absolutely lucky man. And it's great to be here.
Wake up. Hey.
Bully then.
We're not getting any response out of this guy at all.
The odds were definitely against me having survived. But it was definitely my night in the city of Las Vegas. Lady Luck was with me.
Pupils are reactive, a little sluggish though.
I did not crap out.